Newsfirst at 9.
Well, these days, protests and demonstrations over various issues are a common sight. These demonstrations that are taking place in almost every corner of the island are over simple issues.
The Newsfirst Natasha Disanaika reports.
Now, in the past, demonstrations and protests took place over the rise in cost of living and demanding that wages of employees be increased. Most of these protests were spearheaded by the trade unions affiliated to political parties. The July protest, for example, is one of those struggles. However, at present, demonstrations and protest marches are organized over issues of finding schools for children, the Grade 5 scholarship examination, and even the appointments of teachers and principals. Several such demonstrations were reported today as well.
The hunger strike taking place opposite the Ridigama Pahala Ogodapula Vidyalaya in Kurunagala is one that is ongoing. The hunger strike continued for a 7th consecutive day today as the protesters have not been given a solution as yet. The hunger strike began on Friday against the decision to transform the Ridigama Pahala Ogodapula Vidyalaya into a secondary school. The police produced several parents in court today in connection to the tense situation that arose recently concurrent to the hunger strike. Meanwhile, a mother who was hospitalized after taking part in the hunger strike joined the demonstrators once again yesterday.
The OIC obtained permission from the court to demolish the tent that was set up.
Fishermen who ply their trade in the Kokilai Lagoon in Pulmode commenced a Hartal campaign calling on officials to lift the ban on illegal fishing equipment. Fishermen from Pulmode and Kokilai engage in fishing activities in the Kokilai Lagoon, and they allege that the fishermen from Pulmode engage in fishing using the type of band nets known as Puttudal. However, the fishermen from Pulmode allege that the fishermen from Kokilai continue to use the banned fishing nets.
Over the recent past, several demonstrations took place against the increase in prices of food and other commodities. What is most significant with these protests is that they were backed by political parties.
The Vipaksha Virodhatha protest march that took place in Colombo recently was one of the key protests that took place over the recent past.
Now, at a time when people are struggling to battle hunger, farmers also took to the streets over their produce.
Farmers engaged in demonstrations against the fertilizer subsidy not being granted. A group of farmers from Dimbulagala in Polonar were engaged in this demonstration, citing the issues surrounding the electric fence that was set up to protect their families and farms from the menace of wild elephants. Locals from the Agaloy area in Girandu Kote protested over their land rights in this manner.
Persons representing a number of fields of work also took to the streets in the recent past, protesting against various issues. Now today, a group of doctors resorted to trade union actions, citing issues relating to their allowances.
The Joint Convention for Nursing and Profession Supplementary to Medicine staged this demonstration, citing their allowances and other demands. The joint demonstration by teachers and principals associations over unresolved issues took place in Kandy on the 23rd of this month. Meanwhile, on the 16th of this month, the Government Midwife Services Association engaged in a demonstration citing a decision taken by authorities on labour room training.
These days, parents are engaged in demonstrations in a bid to prevent schools from closing down, and the lack of teachers to schools and issues surrounding the education of their children.
This demonstration took place opposite Isurupayo over restricting the admission of students who passed the Grade 5 scholarship examination to popular schools.
What was told by the government was, if you step out, you will be shot. However, the people are more powerful than the gun. That is why the people are breaking all obstacles and stepping out onto the streets. The people have understood that the government that is in power with the people's mandate cannot threaten them by pointing the gun at them. The message the people are giving the government is that if you cannot provide solutions, go home.
මේ උද්ඝෝෂණ කියන ක්‍රියාමාර්ගය මේ ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදී මූලධර්ම වලට ඇතුළත් වෙච්ච ඒකේ ආවේනිකම කාරණයක්.
Demonstrations are a significant factor that comes with democracy. There was a time in this country where if one engages in a protest, he would be beaten. There was a time like that. When such incidents take place, what the people have suppressed within themselves explodes all at once. It is because of democracy that people are getting out to the streets when there is a flaw in a road or a bridge. That is what we see in the television and what we read in the papers. That is an important point of democracy.
මේ කෑ ගන්නවා. ඉතින් ඒක තමයි මේ ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදයේ තියෙන හොඳම ලක්ෂණය.
On the 9th of this month, the parents and the students of the Millat Tava Mahavidyalaya in Girandura Kote engaged in this protest against the decision taken to remove the classes from grades 6 to 11. On the 16th, film directors and artists attached to the Sri Lankan film industry engaged in a protest march citing various demands. It was organized by the Forum of Sri Lankan Cinema Directors and the Organization of Local Cinema Artists.
Demonstrations also took place against the failure of the law being implemented and drug rackets that are taking place.
The incident where it was alleged that the Prime Minister had submitted a letter to release a cargo container with a consignment of drugs sparked demonstrations.
Now, what do intellectuals say about the rise in demonstrations?
We know in any society, when people have political or social grievances, they can resolve these problems through some institutional means. But what has happened in countries like Sri Lanka is that these basic democratic institutions have severely been undermined or collapsed, and as a result of that, now people have to go initiate these protest campaigns to present their demands, their grievances. In that sense, we can say that this new trend of protest campaigns in the country is no more a sign of widening of democracy, but it is actually a sign of shrinking of the democratic political space in the country.
Meanwhile, SM Marikar participated in an event held in Dehiwala this evening.
The inter-house sports meet of the Shastrananda Vidyalaya in Dehiwala was held this afternoon under the auspices of SM Marikar.
The most valuable resource in our country is our human resource. If Sri Lanka needs to move forward in this competitive world, we need the values instilled by education as well as values such as patience instilled through the practice of sports. Therefore, the training provided by sport is essential. And that is what we saw at the sports meet of the Dehiwala Shastrananda Vidyalaya today.
Dehiwala Shastrananda Vidyalaya ක්‍රීඩා උත්සවයේදී අපි දැක්කේ ඒ බව.
A special event was organized today by the Royal College Doctors Association to promote dental care.
The program, which was conducted under the theme Healthy Royal Smile, was held in collaboration with the Ministry of Health.
Although we have a lot of programs to educate the students, especially in the primary section, in related to basic health practices, we have not seen much the children are taking interest. Obesity is one. According to the reports, malnutrition or overnutrition is there amongst many children, even at Royal. The dental problems also, we know, is a major factor, and I am sure this program would let these small children to have a practice.
The health is not merely the absence of disease. You have to fulfill the dimension of the psychological dimension, the social dimension, and especially the spiritual dimension. We usually do not talk. I think for a healthy person, you have to control mouth. Just take the social dimension of health. Why people quarrel? Why today, take for example the country's situation. The country's situation is mainly caused by the wrong use of the mouth of certain people. It is the social dimension. So I think if you protect the mouth of a person, you can protect the country. Samanning Singaling Genha, Rata රැක ගන්න ඕන නම් කට රැක ගන්න. මොකද මුකුත් කියන්න බැරි නම් කට වහගෙන ඉන්න. That will protect the society.
A dental screening was conducted on students of Grade 2 in Royal College, Colombo by members of the Royal College Doctors Association.
You're with News First. Well, starting off with some cricket news. Dilron Pereira claimed his maiden 5-wicket haul in his second test to help Sri Lanka to a comprehensive innings and 248-run victory over Bangladesh before tea on the fourth day of the first test.
Now, Pereira finished with figures of 5 for 109 runs and Surangala Lakmal bagged 3 for 39 as Bangladesh were dismissed for 250, chasing a massive total of 498. The result was Sri Lanka's biggest win over Bangladesh, eclipsing its innings and 234-run victory at Colombo in 2007. Resuming the day on 35 for 1, the Bangladesh batsmen fell in quick succession in the face of the Sri Lankan pace attack. Mominul Haq top scored for Bangladesh with 50 and Amin Hussain made a defiant 32 not out. Amin Hussain and Rubel Hussain shared a last wicket stand of 53, the highest partnership of Bangladesh's innings.
Dilron Pereira, meanwhile, bagged 5 for 109 runs, while Surangala Lakmal claimed 3 Bangladeshi scalps for 39 runs. Sri Lanka declared in its first innings on 7:30 for 6 in response to Bangladesh's 232. Mahela Jayawardene was adjudged man of the match for his mammoth 203 runs in Sri Lanka's first innings.
There he goes. There he goes. Up and under, and nobody's going to stop that.
On to some news from Sri Lanka. The Sri Lanka School Rugby Football Association decided today to indefinitely postpone the inter-school rugby sevens, which was scheduled to be held this weekend.
Now, Sports First has learned that the postponement was down to the Sri Lanka Rugby Football Union, or SLRFU, refusing to provide referees for the tournament. The SLSRFA Secretary Susantha Mendes says that this is due to disagreement regarding sponsors between the SLSRFA and SLRFU.
Well, on that note, we wrap up tonight's edition of Primetime News. I'm Sonali Manikabagage.
And I'm Shahan Jarangpati. Good night.
News First at 9.
Hotline 0114-896-896. www.newsfirst.lk. Feedback at newsfirst.lk.